So I'm pretty sure my neighbours think that I must just work at a car yard, because this is maybe the 6th car that I've driven in 10 days, I think. It's not like I'm just like sort of coming home and getting a thing and then leaving again. It's like I'm driving them for days at a time. Because my other car has stopped working again. I don't have power steering. It was intermittent, so there was a good chance that if I overcorrected, thinking that I wasn't going to be able to steer with power, that then the power would kick in out of nowhere and I would jerk across the road or something. So I was like, that's not cool. You know, it's not. The guy at the dealership has, I think, taken pity on me and given me a very brand spanking new blue MUX to drive. And I got there, I was like, oh, they come in blue now. They didn't do that when I bought mine. You know? I had to get red. It was the only actual like colour available. It was like sort of like the other colours were like, you know, white, black, and like a muddy puddle, and then grey, I think. You know, sludge, or black. I say white sludge. In a 4-wheel drive, white is a sludge colour. It's not white for more than 5 seconds. So it's not a colour I particularly want in a car. Grey is invisible, black is hot and invisible. Why can't they just make a blue car and then make a blue one? But this thing is so fancy. Look, honestly, I'm not a car person generally. I know a little bit about cars. I've got to say, the back of the car seat that I'm in makes me feel fat. It's like pressing where my love handles are. And I'm like, this clearly was designed for someone much skinnier than me. I do not feel comfortable pressing into, you know, I have back fat. Like anybody. Like a middle-aged woman, you know, of course I friggin' do. And, well, it screams at me a lot. It's got like a lane thing where if I'm edging towards the edges of a lane, it doesn't even need to be the real lane, it just needs to be where it thinks there's a lane. And that's not always the same thing, especially like on the Monash Freeway, where they've been doing roadworks for an extended period of time in various sections. And there are old lanes, new lanes, things blacked out, things in yellow, things in white, and you just have to sort of behave, and like the signs will say follow the yellow lines, not the white ones, you know, or the white ones, not the yellow. I guarantee that 1 in 4 drivers can't manage to achieve that. They just don't understand. They don't see it, they just drive across the middle of 2. But mostly people just work with it, you know. This thing yells at you, it screams. If I move off the sides of the lane, it starts to get snippy. I'm sitting at like Macca's drive-through before, it's getting snippy at me. It's beeping, telling me to lock my car because like Macca's drive-through Traralgon, I might be in danger or something in the middle of the afternoon. It's not unreasonable, but not a good reason to yell at me, you know. It yells at me when I go above the limit by like 1-2 Ks. It starts flashing lights at me and stuff. I'm like, that just doesn't seem safe, you know. I miss cars that had no brains whatsoever and just let you drive them, you know. This thing's trying to help so much that it just feels like, I don't know. It feels like it's an anxious vehicle, and it makes me feel like I'm losing some of my power. I'm just not, I have no confidence now. It's like second guessing me on everything, and I'm like, wait, no, it's really confusing. And then it just yells at me. It also yells at me in 2 different tones of voice. It's got like really, really angry and terrified, or just low-key kind of, what the fuck are you doing, you know. In 2 different, like, sort of frantically high-pitched, very fast beeping of like, you're going backwards into, oh no, it's okay. And then the other one, which is sort of a slower, and I think lower, I'm trying not to make it do it because it's scary. But the thing is, like, it's impossible not to. My driveway comes down on a pretty sharp angle towards the road, and the rear sensors on this thing read that as I'm reversing into a building. And I was going to say beer. I'm so tired. And yeah, there's not much I can do about that. And even when I correct it, it still starts beeping like, you're going backwards. And for all of these bells and whistles and fancy little things, I wouldn't say that it's any more interesting or fun to drive. It confuses my phone. It scrambles Spotify. I give up. I have the sun in my eyes as well. The door, the driver's side door, seems to really not want to shut. So I've taken off at least 3 times just in the last couple of hours and had to pull over and fix the door because it hadn't shut properly. Same when I've gotten out of it a couple of times. It needs more of a push than my other one, perhaps. I don't know. It's got a push button start, and I've had these before, and when they go wrong, it is a spectacular problem. So I can't say that I would ask for that again in future. I like the fact that its steering works. It's a little touchier than mine. Which is, in its current condition is not hard to achieve. Because the other one is like driving a car from the early 80s now. It's got no power steering. Fine on the highway, but the second you try and park it, it's a fucking tank and you're just like, you turn the wheel 8 times and it's still sort of pretty much going straight. So that's always fun. But yeah, I feel like I'm going to sell that car. I'm just driving another car, which is just a second-hand Cross Trail, because that's what I drove last year when my other car broke down for so long that I actually got used to it and kind of missed it. When my car got fixed, I was almost disappointed. I was like, I actually quite liked driving the little blue Cross Trail. Little, it's not little. Because it fits a lot of things in it. It does do 4-wheel drive duty if you need it to. Like if I'm hiking in the middle of mountains and stop and there's dirt roads like that does happen. It doesn't happen that much. Most of the roads out there are very, very adequate for your average sort of car, and even the sides of less travelled roads are still very, very usable by the lower grade, the lower key, lower set, I suppose. 4-wheel drive. I'm not taking it really cross country. I never have. I'm on my own. I don't really want to risk that kind of thing. It doesn't seem like a good idea, and I'm not there to carve up the forest with a car. I'm there to walk up a mountain and just feel like I'm dying and then get back down again. Fail to look at the view because I'm scared of heights and go yep, made it, bye. It's hard to explain what I get out of hiking. It's not the views. People are always like, it's really misty, you can't see much today. I'm like, perfect, good. It's a good day for that. I do not like heights. I'm getting better at that. This is irrelevant. But yeah, I'm there to walk, and a lot of the time to face the fear of heights. It doesn't mean I want to sit up there enjoying it. It just means I need to know that I did it. And it's very little to do with going 4-wheel driving. I just like when the roads get a bit washed out, because I like to go in winter. I don't like hiking in the summer. There's flies, there's snakes, there's bugs, there's friggin' tourists everywhere. You can't park. There's billions of people, and with COVID, that just seems like a bad idea. And it's hot, so the really, really punishing ones, you have to take way too much water than I can be bothered carrying. You feel like death. You're sweaty. You feel like your skin's getting scraped off with every step. You have to wear closed boots if you want. It's blood nose. Hands puff up. I find it really unpleasant. I find it lovely. In fact, compelling and addictive in winter. Absolutely fucking awful in summer. So I kind of need a car that can handle the roads when they're not being as well maintained and when there's been lots of storms and things and they're a bit washed out. But I don't think I need an MUX. I don't have a farm anymore. I don't even have a trailer anymore. Just took it to the tip the other day full of rubbish. And was like, this thing's past its prime. I'm leaving the whole lot. Keep it. It's yours. So I've had my car back, and then it's gone again, and it's back, and then it's gone again, it's back, and then it's gone again. Always, when you need it the most, that's when they don't work, right? exactly what happened. I've spent more time driving hire cars than I've spent driving my own car. And I've only had it for like 2.5 years, I think. I drove a hire car for all of last winter. I mean, I'm exaggerating, okay? I haven't driven hire cars more than... But it is true to say I have driven more hire cars. I've spent more time in hire cars in the last, like, year and a half than I ever have in the whole rest of my life put together. And that includes, like, when we were allowed to travel, which we're not now, but when we were, you know. And, that makes me angry as well. We don't even know when we can travel. They can't even tell us that. Which is, yeah, we're asking people who are still allowed to travel when we're allowed to travel. They're like, oh, not yet. We'll let you know. We'll call you, mate. Don't like that. So, yeah, I got my car back from, what was it, turbos stuffed up or something. Then they sheared a bolt on the manifold. And then I got it, like, back just long enough to think that I was going to have it back, and long enough to accidentally get involved in a car chase, sort of. That's a whole other story. It was a wild night. I was already upset. I didn't need further agitation. Now it's not working again. I haven't even done 100,000 Ks in that thing yet. Just falling apart somehow, and it's not me. They're like, oh, it's just these things, they break sometimes. It's second stereo too that it's had. That was the first thing to go. I've been taking it in for something I can't remember, and saying, look, this isn't. It doesn't this. It doesn't that. The buttons are all breaking and coming off and stuff. It's like, what do we do with this? I think I've had it 6 months at that point, and you put a new one in. Straight away, all the same problems. It doesn't do this, it doesn't do that. The buttons are all breaking. It's not worth fussing about twice. I'm just like, I wouldn't recommend it. The other thing about the steering is that when I got it back the other day, he said, actually it was after the service, not the last time I got it back, the time before, which was still the same month. He said that the rear wheels were wearing unevenly and I should get them balanced. So when the steering felt funny the other day, I wrote it off as that. I was like, oh, there's probably like the wheels balancing. I should do that, it's just a bit out. And then it just kind of kept being weird, and I was like, maybe I'm stuck in four-wheel drive, because I wasn't the last one that took it out of that. I had a friend drive it so I could take the hire van back, and they drove my car to me, and I drove us both back to my house, obviously. I honestly can't remember. It feels like a million years ago. I was still moving, so probably the other house. I just honestly can't remember what happened next. I remember clumps of events, but not sequences. Beautiful day. So, I don't know what else to do. And I don't want to talk about the car thing too much, because I feel like I jinx it every time I say the word. I say, oh yeah, the car's fine, the car will be fine, or whatever. Ultimately, that's psyche. It's not how it goes. Anyway, that's the last couple of days. Sounds right. Drive for a while. I've got a vehicle that functions. This thing's really new. Like really, really new. I don't know how many Ks it's done, but it's not many. Things on this car don't match with the things on my other car are, so that... What does that button do? Oh, it tells me when I'm misbehaving in my lane. It's got another thing that tells me when I'm like, just not being mindful of other vehicles in a car park. Like, you're quite close to that car. I'm like, yeah, we're all big cars and these are all small bays. What are we supposed to do. I'm equidistant between the two. I was like, yeah, but you're close. I'm like, yeah, but I'm not so close that I can't get out. And, I'm stationary. I'm not plowing into it. I've never had to, reason with a vehicle before. Like, I have done, but it doesn't help. They don't listen. This one I feel like I have to. I've done it in the past with other cars. Oh, come on, just a little. What are you doing? Or quite often reason with the cars around me, not the one I'm driving. Are you sure? Are you sure that's what you want? Look, buddy. Oh, fine, be like that. Oh, I know this game. It's called Silly Buggers. I know the rules. I can play that. Play it, not win. Yeah. Anyway, that's sun right in my eyes. I'm going to maybe stop for a minute and get some water or something.